Hi and welcome to section 5. In this section we will be learning how to manage services on a Linux machine, a very common task for a Linux sysadmin. In this particular video we will be learning how to control services using the utility systemctl or system control. Systemctl is a tool to handle systemd and services. But what is systemd then? Well, systemd is a new init handler and service manager. It replaces the old init system of Linux. Systemd handles just about everything from starting and stopping services, logging and logins to the system. In this video we will focus on systemctl, the tool to manage services. With systemctl we can start, stop, restart, enable and disable services on the system. This is what we will learn in this video. We will be talking a lot about units and unit files in this section. A unit file is a plain text file that configures a service, a device, or just about anything else that systemd handles. But for here we will only focus on services. So, for all intents and purposes, a unit is a service, and a unit file is a systemd configuration file for that service. There are some terminology we need to get used to when it comes to systemd. The most common ones is these that we will cover here. If a system is active or inactive. What this means is that whatever a service is currently running or not. The commands to start and stop a service is systemctl start and systemctl stop. To find out if a service is running or not, we use systemctl isActive. Then we have the terms enabled and disabled. An enabled service means that that service will start automatically with the system. A disabled service will not start automatically. And the commands to enable or disable a service is systemctl enable and systemctl disable. And to ask the system if a service is enabled, we use systemctl isEnabled. Alrighty then. Let's start this video by taking a look at what services is already running on our machine. So our first systemctl command will be systemctl list units type equals service and state equals running. So let's break down this command so that we understand it before we press enter. We begin with list units. List units means just what it says. Remember that a unit is something that systemd handles, such as a service, a device, etc. That is why we need to specify the kind of units in the next options with type equals service. And then we only want to list service units that are currently running, and that's why we specify state running. As you notice here, I'm not using root at the moment. That is because we can actually view services as a regular user, but to be able to start, stop, restart and modify services, we need to be root. Here are the running services on my machine. For example, here we have the HTTPD service, which we installed, enabled and started in section 2 of this course. If you are using Debian or Ubuntu, this is instead called Apache 2. And you quit this screen by hitting a Q as in quit. If we want to temporarily stop this service, we accomplish that with the command sudo systemctl. Remember to use sudo here since we are now going to stop a service. And stop HTTPD. And if you are using Debian or Ubuntu, you replace HTTPD with Apache 2. Now the service is stopped. But the next time the machine is rebooted, the HTTPD service is automatically started again. To check if a service is running, we use systemctl isActive HTTPD. And once again, if you're using Debian or Ubuntu, replace HTTPD with Apache 2. And here it says inactive because we just stopped the service. To check if a service is enabled, that is, started automatically when the system starts, use systemctl isEnabled. Oops, misspelled it. It should be isEnabled. And it is. And remember, enable means that the service is to start automatically when the system starts, and disable means it will not. So, to disable HTTPD, we use sudo systemctl disable HTTPD. Now, enable and start the web server again with sudo systemctl enable HTTPD and sudo systemctl start HTTPD. If we just want to restart a service, we can instead use systemctl restart and the name of the service. We often restart a service when we have changed some configuration file for that particular service. There is actually another alternative to this, which is reload. It is not all services that supports reload though, but for those who does, it means that the service will reread the configuration files without actually restarting the service. So, for our example with HTTPD, this command will be sudo systemctl reload HTTPD. If you do prefer to reload services instead of restarting them, but you don't know whether or not the service supports reloading, we can instead use a clever command, which is sudo systemctl reload or restart and the name of the service. This will first try to reload, and if the service doesn't support reloading, it will instead restart it. Now, there is one last but very important command I want to show you, and that is a status command. So, for example, systemctl status httpd. This will show you the current status of the service as of right now. Here you can see if the service is active and running. You can see the process IDs, how many processes this service has spawned, etc. And also a few lines from the log. For example, starting, started, reloading, and reloading. This is a very useful command when troubleshooting services.